On the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends. And I can't wait to get on the road again.
Listen to Hair on Fire with Barbara and Randy every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. as they take you on the road to the 2012 election right here on KFNX 1100 News Talk Radio.
On the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends. And I can't wait.
She's hot to go, she's ready, she's hot to go right now. She's hot to go, you've got to know, let's stop and do it, girl. I don't have no liquor shop.
The lady with her hair on fire is on the air. America thinks it, Barbara says it.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Hair on Fire. My name is Charles Long, and I will be your host this evening. Along with Wayne in the control room, we will be holding the fort here at KFNX. Your regular hosts, Barbara Espinosa and Randy Pullen, are covering the Republican primary debate at the lovely Mesa Arts Center and are expected to call in and give us some live coverage of the debate, but we're pleased to be with you regardless of the late hour. Tonight is an impromptu show, and I'm not sure what the evening will bring, so we're going to kind of wing it, and I hope you'll join us for the hour, and we're probably going to have a good time. Perhaps we'll is Barbara there?
I am on the line.
Oh, you're on the line already.
Yes, I am on the line. I am in what is known as the spin room for CNN, where they have all the audio set up for all of the media outlets. We've got ABC in here, Fox Radio, we've got CNN Radio, we've got a young lady from Payson who I'm going to put on the phone. She's been my seatmate. Randy will be coming in from the debate area, which will take him a few minutes because he has to go through Secret Service and the security thing. Now, what is happening? Oh, well, you won't believe this. Rick Perry is going to be the surrogate speaker for Newt Gingrich.
Oh, I'm so happy. That makes me smile.
Anyway, he is on Newt Gingrich's dais. They have 4 daises in the spin room for the candidates of their surrogate speakers. And what happens is all of the media, the print media and the audio media flock around them, and they give their talking points. Rick Perry is in here for Newt Gingrich.
Okay. I don't know if a lot of listeners heard the debate. I should say that I was simultaneously listening on Blog Talk Radio with you. That was delayed 20 seconds. Watching the TV here on the radio station that was delayed by about, 3 seconds, and then talking with Barbara live on the phone. It was kind of like juggling and using a hula hoop all at the same time. So I didn't see all of the debate trying to go back and forth to these, but all of the candidates seemed to have a pretty good performance. And my initial impression is that the level of civility was a whole lot better tonight than in the last few debates. What do you think? Good debate?
It was. There was a couple of times that Santorum got a little testy. And Ron Paul has put out a video called Fake on Santorum. And it is...
Fake as in F-A-K-E?
Fake as in F-A-K-E. It is actual about his voting record. And they brought that up. And Santorum tried to tell you why he did it, his excuses for why he voted for it. He voted for the Bridge to Nowhere. He voted for No Child Left Behind. He voted for to fund an indoor rainforest in Iowa. Trent Franks is in the room now giving a little interview, and I think he's for Newt Gingrich also. I don't see anybody for the Paul people yet, and there are so many people gathered around Rick Perry that you can't even see to the other side of the room.
Oh, he's got a good crowd.
Yes, but he's on my crap list.
Yeah, I remember. But you got to make up. Come on. We all got to pull together.
I'm not going to make up with him because he cut and ran, and he did not he did not even have one valid election. The Iowa caucus was a joke, and the New Hampshire thing was a joke. And when he got to South Carolina, where there was actually a primary, he cut and ran. And I'm not forgiving him.
Well, that's your choice, I guess.
I'm not making up. Not unless he wants to kiss.
He might. Who knows? Is his wife with him?
If he wants to kiss and make up, I might consider it. But otherwise, I'm not going to. I am going to put my seatmate on the line.
Okay, I'm going to give the call-in number here quickly, 602-277-5369, and toll-free 866-536-1100. And you have are you tweeting, Barbara?
I am tweeting.
Okay, at 1Barbara1, is that correct?
1Barbara1, or Hair on Fire at Q.com.
Q.com. Good, okay.
Pick up the phone, tell them who you are, etc., and what your station is. Okay, she's been my seatmate all day.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. Hi.
Hi.
I'm Stephanie Landers.
Hi, Stephanie. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Great.
Wonderful. I am the news director for 1420 KMOG in Payson, Arizona.
Oh, wonderful. Is it cold up there?
You know, probably right now it is. I have no idea, though. I am down here in gorgeous Mesa.
Yeah, you bet. Go ahead.
I have to tell you a little secret about her. She changed her clothes in the middle of the street.
Is there a story behind that?
Well, when I met her and we were getting set up, because I got all the electronic stuff done while I was here, and she came in and sat down, and then we went out to get some water. And while we're out there, she says, "Oh, I've got to go change my shoes, and I'm going to change my clothes." She came back, and she had changed her clothes in the middle of the street.
For the record, there was no changing room, and the street was my only option.
Yeah.
I hid behind a couple of vehicles as much as possible.
And what she said was, "Those people will never see me again."
I don't care. I don't know any of those people.
That is a great attitude.
I don't know all of those police officers milling about.
But I think she was trying to hook up with one police officer, but she just couldn't get any takers.
Not Sheriff, you know who. Oh, okay.
Actually, yes, which explains a lot.
Give us a little feedback on what you thought about the program.
I'll tell you what I thought. I'm just kidding. No, it was very interesting. It was like watching my grandparents bicker.
That's funny. I liked the format with them sitting, though. There was a relaxed atmosphere by them sitting and talking. I don't know, it just seemed much nicer than the standing behind the podiums, unrelaxed thing. It looked very informal. Maybe that's what you were feeling. I don't know.
No, honestly, it was great. I really enjoyed it. All in all, the atmosphere here is amazing. Even just walking around outside, the crowds of people, it's like it's a festival on the outside. On the inside, it's a refrigerator here in the spin room. It's freezing cold, but all in all, I enjoyed it. And I'll tell you, the Mesa Arts Center is gorgeous.
Isn't it a beautiful place?
What a wonderful place to hold this event.
Yeah.
Before it started, we got a tour of the center and got our instructions on what we could do and all of that kind of stuff. And CNN absolutely does a fabulous job. Their set was just phenomenal, and they put it together from Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
They had it shipped on Thursday, and on Saturday they started putting it together, and they had it all together. Unbelievable. Anyway, we have been seatmates, and we have agreed on a couple of things.
Uh-huh.
We agree that government has no business in your uterus, your bedroom, or your kitchen.
Well, there you go.
And really not
all good things.
Your church either, I would say, in my opinion. I don't believe government has a place in my place of worship.
Right. We have a caller calling in this evening from Cleveland, from Mesa. Can we get him on, Wayne?
Sure.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome to the show. Hi.
I'm good. I was listening to the debate, and to me it seemed like all four of them were at the top of their game tonight. All four of them brought it, And I really like what Ron Paul did. He really represented himself. You know, it was nice to see that when people actually listened to what he had to say, he actually came across as being very reasonable and not this curmudgeonly old man. You know, he came across as an elder statesman, a man of great integrity and intelligence.
Yeah.
You know, Newt even came across as being they all came across as being pretty good. I was surprised, but, I'm more partial to Mr. Paul. I like him. They say he might not have a chance in hell of getting it. But, if I had my druthers, it would be him.
But he's a good man, and he's brought a great deal to the debate. And
I just love him.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
What he's brought to the debate? He has brought some issues up that nobody would ever talk about.
Right.
If it hadn't been for him like water on a rock, they would have never audited the Federal Reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then also he probably brought to the fact that he would start eliminating and abolishing departments. And you never heard any politicians talk about doing that until Ron Paul. And it seems like they all seem to parrot him after a while.
Our girl from Payson is going to hang up, so when you hear the click, don't get upset.
That's me.
Here comes Randy.
Well, bye-bye. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great
Bye-bye.
night.
All right.
All right, Randy's in here now, so he'll be over in a minute.
Okay, but we're probably going to be heading for a break sometime soon. It's we got 2 minutes, so go ahead.
Okay, Cleveland?
Yeah, I was just saying, that all these other politicians seem like Ron Paul light. Even in his stand on Iran, he basically brought up the point, if you're going to want to fight these people so bad, just declare a war. Do it the way you're supposed to do it.
You know what?
Right.
He did a really good job, and I was glad to see that. I'll tell you what, when you went outside of the Art Center, excuse me, when you went out, excuse me, you can just pick up the phone. We're on the air. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You said when you went outside.
We got a little.
When I went outside, it's like a festival, and Ron Paul, the people for Ron Paul, were, all over the place, and they're very enthusiastic.
Huge loyal support base, absolutely.
Yep, I drive a cab out here, and I was looking at all the signs.
I'm here now, and they have the bands out front playing now, and it's a party.
Oh, okay. Randy, where are you? You're out front of the complex?
Well, I just walked past it all to get over here to
sit
down and get on the show here.
Okay. And we have a gentleman named Cleveland on the line with us who's calling in from Mesa.
Yeah, they got the place blocked off, so we can't. I drive a cab, but we can't get with them.
They've got it blocked off so bad you can't hardly get around any place.
I know, and it's somebody was saying that there's another cab driver I was talking to. I don't know how he did it. He pulled up real close, and then all of a sudden he said he saw these two people just lean their heads in and says, "Yeah, can I help you?"
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then they showed him he was belligerent with them until they showed him their badges. They were Secret Service badges.
Yeah.
So let me. We're going to take a break in less than a minute here, but what I want to ask everybody, especially Randy, who was in there, is I want to hear about the response to the people. Oh, we're taking a break. KFNX News Talk Radio. We will be back in a little bit. Call in number 602-277-5369, 866-536-1100. Call us.
America thinks it. Barbara says it.
Okay, here we are, here on fire on KFNX News Talk Radio, 1100 AM. The call-in numbers are 277-5369, toll free, 866-536-1100. Website, www.1100kfnx.com. And we are connected to Barbara and Randy at the debate in Mesa, at the Mesa Arts Center. And welcome back, you guys.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hi.
It's going to be a little bit noisy because the spin room is filled with the press media and
Right now they're interviewing Rick Santorum. They're all circled around him as he's given his spin on the night's debate.
So they're each taking turns with their spin.
They are.
Okay.
They're in the room here.
Did they flip a coin?
Elected officials are here. There's the governor's here. The mayor's here. The sheriff's here. They're all here.
Oh, great. I just saw the governor on CNN just a minute ago, and
Trent Franks is here. He's giving a little interview. As I told you before, Rick Perry was here. I think he has left. And now they're all flocked around Santorum.
Okay, Randy, you were in the hall, correct?
I was.
Can I ask you what your impression? It seems that there were quite a few. Santorum got quite a few boos tonight. Is that correct?
Well, he kept making excuses for everything he did while he was in the Senate, in Congress. It was excuse after excuse after excuse. Well, I had to be a team player. I had to support Specter because he was going to be on the Judicial Committee to pick the next Supreme Court justices, and that was important. Of course, if it wouldn't have been Specter on the Judicial Committee, it would have been some other Republican on the Judicial Committee. So, I mean, he was making, like, double talk arguments, and the crowd was really reacting negatively to it, I would say.
Yeah, it seemed on my end that was a lot more negativity, a lot more audience boos than I've ever heard.
Definitely, Santorum, for the first half of the debate, was the target of the other three candidates. They were definitely going after Santorum, and that was very clear. The other issue that came up was when they brought up the issue, King brought the issue of contraception. You would almost think he was like had been told by the Obama campaign committee to bring this up. Literally, the crowd began to boo King when he brought up the issue, and they were saying, move on, we don't need to talk about this is dumb. And King kept pushing it, and I think all the candidates did a great job of answering it and framing it the way it needed to be framed, which is this is a religious freedom issue. This is the First Amendment issue that we're dealing with, the government overstepping its bounds. Again, Obama mandating what religions should have to do.
Right.
It was met very negatively by the crowd overall. They didn't like the question, and I think all the candidates did an admirable job of reacting to it.
Right, but the responses to the question were the crowd liked.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think they all handled it properly, and the crowd liked what they were doing, like framing it in the terms it needed to be, which is this is a religious freedom issue, not an issue about whether or not you're going to get free contraceptives.
Right, and like I mentioned at the top of the show, I said it seemed like the level of civility, and I don't know whether it was because everybody was sitting and it kind of calmed everybody down, but the level of civility seemed much greater tonight than in the past few debates.
Did you think so? I thought that Santorum and Romney got at it pretty good there between the two of them.
At moments. Well, also what I said is I was listening to it on Blog Talk with Barbara, listening to her on the phone, and watching the delay on the TV here. So there were sections I didn't get. So
also, Ron Paul hit Santorum pretty bad.
Call him a fake?
Well, he is a fake. Every bit of it. I mean, what he said was true, but Santorum was trying to make excuses for it, and Ron Paul just basically said, you said make all the excuses you want, but you did it.
Right. So, any other impressions?
Yes, I have one.
What?
The governor had a new hairdo, and it looked good.
She looked good on the TV.
I'll have to agree with that. I mean, she was not only did she have a new hairdo, but I mean her makeup was just excellent tonight.
Well, I wasn't that close, but the hairdo was good. I was glad to see the hairdo.
She had to spend the entire day down at the spa, having her hair done and everything, but she looked great.
So was this a good final debate? Was this a good presentation to the American public before Super Tuesday? And
I think so. Overall, I thought that, as this is the 20th debate, they've got it figured out. They understand pretty much what the questions are going to be. They understand what their positions are. They understand what the crowd wants to hear, and they know how to present it. So other than the bickering that goes on between them when they start getting off on some personal issue between the two of them, I mean, I thought they were right there. I mean, I thought it was a very, very solid performance across the board. I think Newt took a new position tonight.
Which?
Clearly he was not mixing it up. Clearly he was sitting back, trying to be the statesman. I almost look at it like he was trying to absolutely rebuild his image with expectation of what might happen after this process is final.
Yes. Well, and what did they each gave a key word, and his was what? Nice or something? What was it? Happy, pleasant, cheerful. That was it. Cheerful. Well, that helps. There's a line from the movie Harvey where he talks about I learned in life it's good to be oh so smart or oh so nice. I recommend nice. So it goes a long way.
I agree.
Do we have Cleveland still on the line, Wayne? Oh, he left. I'm sorry. Okay. We had somebody on the line holding until, but he's gone. Let me give everybody the numbers again so they can call in if they want to. 602-277-5369, toll free, 866-536-1100. So, what else do you guys want to talk about?
Well, I would like to talk about the lack of discussion there was about immigration and our broken border that we have here in Arizona. There was an opportunity for the issue of Fast and Furious to come up. Not one candidate raised the issue. Not one. I can understand when they're in Iowa not bringing that up, but when they're in Arizona, I cannot believe that none of the four would bring up the issue of Fast and Furious and what's going on and the terrible misplacement of judgment, and I shouldn't say judgment, judgment in the sense that they didn't have any sin.
Well, it's maybe part of the fact that just the other day on Fox I heard a Democratic spin artist say that Fast and Furious is a non-issue. A non-issue. So this may be part of the spin that they're all trying to get. Maybe they're sensitive to that.
It is definitely an issue in a debate in Arizona.
It's an issue. I think it's a huge issue.
The other thing that they didn't bring up, and if anybody was going to bring this one up, it probably should have been Ron Paul, was yesterday there was a lady that was shot in El Paso from stray bullets coming from Juarez.
Right.
And they had to lock down 3 grade schools over the gunfights that was happening in Juarez, and none of them brought that up.
Yeah. We have Cleveland back on the line here from Mesa. Cleveland, do you want to get back on the discussion and ask Barbara or Randy anything?
Well, I was wondering, Ron Paul, you didn't really get too many scares of too many boos. It seemed as if the audience was a little bit more intelligent than most of the other audiences that they sat in front of. Well, what do you guys think about that audience? What do you think about that audience tonight?
Well, they were Arizonans and they were Republicans. Of course they were more intelligent.
A good answer, Barbara.
No, I think it's a good question, and definitely when we started getting double talk back from the candidates, the audience reacted very negatively and very quickly to it. And believe me, the candidates were looking out the audience. They understood that they were being called down for throwing out, the old answers that they usually can get away with. So I think there's some real truth in that. Of course, I will tell you, just looking around the audience, I was right in the middle of the audience. I was looking around during the breaks. There were a lot of sophisticated people in that room in terms of politically what goes on between candidates and elected officials, consultants, lobbyists. I mean, there were a lot of very, very astute people in that room, and they just basically decided tonight they weren't going to let them get away with some of their cheap answers.
We're going to take a break now, but when we get back, tell us a little bit about the split of the group in the audience, maybe. So this is Hair on Fire. We'll be back in how many seconds? In a while, 2 minutes? Whatever, okay. 602-277-KFNX. Toll free, 866-536-1100. Give us a call.
America thinks it. Barbara says it.
Welcome back, everybody, to the third segment of Hair on Fire. My name is Charles Long. I'm in the studio with Wayne, and we have Barbara Espinosa and Randy Pullen on site at the Mesa Arts Center covering the debate, giving us some post-debate coverage. And when we left, I asked Randy, who was sitting in the hall, what his impression was of the split of the crowd. So did you notice anything about that, Randy?
Well, there was this issue that was floating out there, and I know that the candidates had voiced it to the state party that they were afraid that the audience was being
too boisterous.
What?
Too boisterous?
No, not boisterous. No. They were before because they couldn't get the tickets. They were all trying to get tickets. And they were concerned that somehow there was some kind of a game was being played, and one of the candidates was going to have all the tickets. The Romney people thought that the Santorum people were getting all the tickets. The Santorum people thought the Romney people were getting all the tickets. The Gingrich people, they just couldn't get any tickets, quite frankly.
Wow.
But I'm looking at the audience, and listening to the clapping and the cheering that was going on, I would not say that any one candidate had an overwhelming support in that audience. I think it was pretty well split. And I think it was really more based on the response of the audience was more to the answers they gave. And if they gave good, solid responses, they responded well. If they gave excuses or tried to give some of the.
Well, didn't I see in the polls today that Rick Santorum has come up in Arizona substantially?
So dead heat.
Yeah, that's why I was very surprised at the response, and I wondered how the House was packed, if it was indeed. But that's interesting.
Well,
that's interesting.
Santorum kept giving excuses, and you can't give excuses.
What would have been a good answer to some of those questions? In other words.
I don't know. I don't think there are good answers.
Okay. Well, that's all right.
When you voted for No Child Left Behind, which was a bad piece of legislation, and of course, and that's one reason why Republicans got thrown out of office in 2006 because they did things like that. They supported and voted for things, spent money on things they should never have done, and Rick, unfortunately, was part of that process, and he tried to make excuses for on the stage, and he tried to say that, well, I was on the team, and sometimes you got to take one for the team, and I understand that,
right?
But you know what? You still have to do what's right. You have to do what you were sent to Washington D.C. to do, and not do what the team tells you to do.
And that's what Ron Paul said.
That
was Ron Paul's response to it.
At the very end, he got him
right on, and the audience agreed with that.
They did agree with him.
The audience supported Ron Paul's response on you can't take one for the team.
Well, yeah, my allegiance is not to the party, it's to the Constitution.
Exactly.
And boy, oh boy, that was the perfect answer.
It was right on the point, and the audience agreed with him, and Santorum got the message.
Yeah.
That wasn't a good answer. Now, what would have been a good answer? The only good answer you could really give, is that was a mistake. I shouldn't have voted for that. I really am sorry about it. And I will do all I can do to get the federal government out of that.
Well, how many times do you think he could have said that tonight?
He would have to have said it a lot of times.
I mean, there were a lot of things that he voted for, like I said before, an indoor rainforest in Iowa. I mean, and to expand it. The one that gets me is expanding the Department of Education and funding it to billions of dollars, and then coming back and saying, well, I wouldn't do that. The education should be up to the state. Well, then why did you vote for it to start with?
Right. Politicians are between a rock and a hard place on those things often. They've got
no, there's this old saying in Washington, and it's true, there's congressmen and senators. There's two varieties of them. There's the one that's in Washington, D.C., and then there's the one who flies home on weekends and campaigns in his district. It's like they're bipolar. They're two different people, and that's what goes on. They're not consistent in their beliefs and what they do.
Right.
Ron Paul actually is consistent in his.
Yes, he is. And that's why you bring up the votes. Sometimes he has not been with the team at all, but he's voted Constitution and conviction straight down the line. You've got to give him that.
Well, one of the things he said today was because he was reimbursed for travel expenses a couple of times.
Right.
For the same travel. He said, y'all shouldn't be auditing that. Y'all should be auditing, the government. Me getting it reimbursed twice isn't that big a deal.
Well, there's someone who just has lost perspective on it.
Well, but it was a good answer.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I mean, but again, like it goes back to a rock and a hard place. I mean, how do you walk that razor's edge? I mean, it's got to be difficult with the pressures that come from, and I'm not making excuses for anybody, but the pressures that come from the party, that come from the leadership, that come, Randy, you know all about this better than I do, but it's got to be tough.
You have tremendous pressure put on you when you're in those positions.
Yeah.
Let me give you a personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
2007, after the election in 2006, George Bush was pushing his amnesty bill that he wanted to get through, and he enlisted John Kyle, the senator from Arizona, and John McCain to support him in that. And I, as the state chairman, had to stand up and say no to that. And believe me, it would have been a lot easier to have said nothing and just let it go on. It would have been much easier for me, personally.
As a matter of fact, they still hold a grudge.
Yeah, well, you ruffle feathers.
You know who else is in the spin room? I just saw him. Is Byron York.
Okay. You want to bring him over? What?
Huh?
You going to bring somebody over to talk? No.
No.
Oh.
He's a big pundit.
Ah. Well, maybe he'll talk to you.
And he's in the spin room.
Well, it's starting to thin out a little bit now in the spin room.
Yeah.
So all the presidentials are gone. The governor's gone. We have a couple congressmen still here.
Well, there's still.
I see the Secretary of State is still in the spin room.
Yeah, Ken is here.
Well, they're still. It looks like they're still on the stage. Maybe they're in New York on CNN covering this, but a whole bunch of people are still doing post-debate stuff on CNN. I see gesticulating, but I can't hear anything. Go ahead.
They might be in the debate hall, but a lot of the CNN coverage this afternoon was done outside.
Oh, okay.
They had a park bench set up outside, and they were doing it from there.
So, what else do we want to talk about here?
Well, I want to talk to Randy a little bit or ask him some questions. He went to the Lincoln Day luncheon yesterday, and Santorum was the speaker. And the information that I got back, Santorum, they had a straw poll there, and Santorum had like 67% of the straw poll. Did they have to pay to vote in that straw poll?
No. They did not have to pay to vote in that straw poll. I voted in it. I left my ballot there before I had to leave for a meeting, and I voted for Romney, just so you know. But Santorum got up and gave a very heartfelt speech. It was a lot of passion, a lot of energy in it. Said a lot of things that conservatives like to hear, and I'm sure he won some friends yesterday at that Lincoln Day dinner, Barbara.
Well, good for him.
He did, and my concern is that and I kind of voiced this to the New York Times and the CNN a little bit, that while Santorum is out there connecting with the people, and that's where he goes to the activist meetings, he goes to the Tea Party meetings, even though he said negative things about Tea Parties, but he goes out there and he meets with those people.
Like he did in Iowa, yeah.
Part of the reason is because he doesn't have a bunch of donors he can go meet with because they ain't giving him a lot of money.
Right.
Okay, so that's where he goes, and my concern is that Romney comes to town, he goes to fundraisers, he's off to a fundraiser right now, and he's not connecting with the rank and file party leadership that exists at the district and the county level, and that's, to me, is part of the issue, is that connection, that energy, that passion, excitement that goes on between the party rank and file and the candidate. I don't see it there.
Well, it's like, did he even have anybody come in here as a surrogate for him?
I didn't see anybody. I'm sure somebody probably did. I just didn't see it, so I don't know.
They didn't gather around for sure at that dais.
Right.
Well, the governor is on stage. Isn't that the governor up with John King in the red jacket?
On the screen
no,
here?
I don't think so, no.
No, it's not.
No?
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Okay, we're heading out here in a minute. What else do you guys want to say before we take a break in about a minute? Anything else about that?
Well, I'm just going to say that my take on this debate tonight is that three candidates did good, or at least as good as they normally do, or better, and that would be Ron Paul, Newt Gingrich, and Mitt Romney. I think Santorum had a very, very tough night, not only from the other candidates who went after him, but I think the audience reacted very negatively to some of his answers, which were kind of passing the buck. At one point, when they were talking about earmarks, he was trying to say, well, Jim DeMint did earmarks, so why are you worrying about me if he does them? Like, that's not the answer. That's not the answer. You know? So I think that he had a tough night.
Okay, guys, we're taking a break here, and we'll be back for our last segment, everybody, in a few minutes. Our call-in numbers are 602-277-5369, toll-free, 1-866-536-1100. Give it a call.
America thinks it. Barbara says it.
Well, welcome back to our last segment of Hair on Fire on KFNX News Talk Radio, 1100 AM. Our call-in numbers are 602-277-5369 and toll-free 866-536-1100. My name's Charles Long, and we have Barbara Espinosa and Randy Pullen live at the lovely Mesa Arts Center covering the debate, giving us some post-debate coverage. And one of the questions I guess I wanted to ask before we finish up tonight, did you get a sense, either of you, that there is going to be some unity once this process is done? I seem to get a different feeling tonight. Did you, either of you, get any of that?
Well, I don't know, Barbara. What do you think?
I think there will be. I think there will be from, now remember, I'm in the room with all of the press, and so I'm listening to their chatter, besides the debate, and I think, whoever wins the coming primaries, I think they'll end up getting behind them. But I can tell you right now that Santorum, I'm voting for Obama.
Oh, come on, Barbara. Okay, we have some. Go ahead. Go ahead, Randy.
Being in the room is, I believe that whoever comes out of this as the nominee, I believe the people in that room are going to get behind him in that hall. Because the feeling I was getting in the hall was they weren't cutting anybody any slack, really. They wanted good answers back, and they were being very supportive when they got good answers. And I think that bodes well down the road, that ultimately I think that they'll get together.
Yeah, it seemed, even though they were sniping, it didn't seem to have the vitriol that it had before. I don't know. And
that's because you didn't have Newt in there like acting like the senior statesman, saying, now, guys, let's play nice.
Okay. All right.
The other thing that I was talking to Eric Erickson, who does Red State, and we were talking about the candidates, and I said, well, Eric, because, they started out wanting Palin, then they went to Herman Cain, then they went to Perry, and now they're at Newt. And so we were talking, and I said, well, when you just get right down to it, Romney is the only candidate that hasn't been in Washington, D.C., and hasn't voted for all these problems. And his response to me was, I know, but I have a feeling if he was there, he would have. And I said, but how can you go on that?
Well, you don't know.
You don't know
You just don't know that.
You don't know that for sure. And he goes, yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, we have Frank on the line from Scottsdale. Maybe we should let him join our discussion here.
Frank.
Frank, welcome to the show.
How you guys doing? Hey, I have a question. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing, but I've been listening, and I would like to know your explanation. What's the difference between an explanation and an excuse?
Not anything, really.
Well, because I hear every time Santorum was explaining something, people would like it. But then when you had said that Ron Paul, well, he was more concerned about, that auditor,
well, you know
whatever.
What it is? I'll answer that question for you because it is a very good question, and there is a difference between an explanation and an excuse. An explanation is, I did this because I believed in this or I believed in that, and I did this. An excuse is, well, I did this because I was a team player and we were working together, and sometimes you got to take one for the team. Now, that's basically shifting the blame away from yourself to someone else. Or his explanation of earmarks, well, Jim DeMint was doing earmarks too. Well, that's an excuse. He's trying to shift it off of him. He's not explaining. He should have been saying, I did earmarks for these reasons, and these are the earmarks I did, and I did them for this reason because it was the only way I could get it through, and we needed it. Okay, now, it's a little harder to explain why you need a rainforest in a building in Iowa versus, trying to subsidize
was that
or
rainforest
trying to help.
vote a standalone vote, or was it attached to a lot of other things?
Oh, they're all attached to something
Yeah,
else.
that's what I'm saying. See?
Well, maybe it's the difference between saying I lost my homework and I just didn't want to do it. The dog ate it and I didn't want to do it. Because
my thinking is the Democrats are very good at attaching these things like a rainforest bill to an appropriations bill that needs to be voted on, it needs to be passed.
But
so
Frank,
they're very good at doing that.
Frank, part of the time that he was in Congress, it was a Republican-controlled Congress. So you can't blame the Democrats for everything.
I'm not.
Well, let me give you another one,
Frank.
Frank.
Even
here's
when they're
his
not
explanation, Frank, here's his explanation for why he supported Alan Specter, one of the most liberal senators in the Senate, even more liberal than Democrats as he was rated. He says, I supported Specter over Toomey because he was chairing the Judicial Committee, and we were going to have to make appointments to the Supreme Court, and he was going to be the chair of it. Well, I got to ask you, Frank, if he lost and Toomey won and became the senator, does it really matter what some other senior Republican senator would have ended up being head of the Judiciary Committee, and they would have appointed the same Supreme Court justices that they did? See, that's an excuse. It's not it's an explanation, but it's a very weak explanation. It's really an excuse for why I did what I did. And if you think through it, you realize that it's a very bad excuse for what he did.
You know who I really like?
Who?
Chris Christie, because he don't care who you are. He's going to tell
I love
us
Chris Christie. I mean, he kind of says it the way it is, and if you don't like it, that's okay.
That's what I want. That's what I like. You're going to say it. What's on your mind? If they don't like it, tough. Get over it.
Right. Yeah.
Well, thanks for your time, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
Frank,
Thanks for your comments.
Frank, thank you very much for calling in. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Good night. Good night. So, guys, what do we want to brush up with? So it was.
Well, let's talk about where we go from here. I mean,
right.
We have elections coming up on this Tuesday in Arizona. Santorum needed to have I think he needed to have a good showing tonight in order to continue to close the margins with Romney. It was getting close, but he was going to have a big turnout on election day to carry him. Romney already had the.
Made that,
no, I don't think he did. Romney has the votes in the mail, so I don't think Santorum carried the night, and I think that's going to cause him to not win on Tuesday. So Arizona has 29 delegates, and it's winner take all. At least that's what they say it is. And that means that Romney will be getting 29 delegates out of Arizona. At worst, maybe he has a split with Santorum in Michigan. Maybe Santorum manages to win Michigan, but they split the delegates, and there's 30 delegates, so Santorum probably comes away with 10. Romney comes away with 8 or something, and the rest of them get split up amongst Gingrich and Ron Paul if they get to 15%. So at the end of the day, come Tuesday night, I think Mitt Romney is going to walk away with a pile full of delegates compared to the others.
Is there a lot of early voting in Arizona?
You know what? Early voting started in Arizona the day of the Florida election.
Uh-huh.
And so you can bet 2 weeks after the Florida election, early ballots that were being cast, they were probably definitely leaning. Well, we know from some polling that's been done that it was very much in favor of Romney.
I have already voted in the early election.
Yeah.
I did that a couple of weeks ago.
And it'll be interesting to see if the response of voters who go to the polls is similar to that of the people in the audience. You never know. You never know.
Well, the other thing, just to finish this up, I think Romney gave a really good explanation of why they should have allowed Chrysler and General Motors to go through a bankruptcy instead of being...
That was a great answer.
I missed that.
I think that's going to help him in Michigan. And not only that, but Gingrich agreed with him. He came on and said, absolutely, that's what should have happened.
Yeah, well, there was a couple of things that Romney said that Gingrich sat there and shook his head, yes. But the answers he gave on the car companies and the bailouts was right on. I mean, that was what was being said all over the country.
Exactly.
And he gave a really good.
The audience responded very, very positively to that. He got a big applause for that.
He really knows money better than anybody else. And for anybody to think someone that has taken over companies and turned them around and sold them doesn't have the cojones to be president and to make decisions is wrong.
So I think that helped him. I think that helped him for those voters in Michigan that were watching last night and hadn't made up their minds yet. I think that those answers and the support from Gingrich and from Ron Paul. Kind of supported it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Right.
We'll be seeing you guys next week.
Okay.
Thanks for listening.
This is Barbara, Charles, and Randy saying good night. We will see you all next week at 7 p.m.